Okay, so our topic for this session is entitled Introduction to Collaborative Practice. Our objectives for this afternoon is that first, to discuss the need for collaborative practice in healthcare. Second is to analyze the key elements of collaboration. And lastly, to discuss the interactional, organizational, and systemic determinants of collaboration. So let's start first with a short video clip. Stop share ko muna to and I will be sharing a video. So maikli lang yung video na to, mga 8 to 9 minutes. But I want you to pay close attention to the stories na sinishare ng mga nasa video. And from their experiences, let's try to draw out ano ba yung importance of collaboration or collaborative practice in healthcare. Okay, so after the video, magtatawag ako ng mga mag-share from your group about what you have observed or what you have learned from the experiences of those who were part of the video. Okay, so I expect you all to watch closely kung ano yung mga stories na sasabihin nila. Okay, so let's watch the video together.
Yes, a few years ago, I went through a very painful experience in my life. I had severe back pain and neck pain, so I went to see my primary care doctor, which did an X-ray and just told me to exercise and make sure that I stretched. But the pain was so severe that I just couldn't exercise. So I decided to move on to a chiropractor. And the chiropractor would work on my back and neck, and the pain would go away as soon as I left, of course, her office, but then it would come back in no time. So from the chiropractor, I moved on to a neurologist who gave me a prescription and sent me to a physical therapist. And I would be seen by the physical therapist and the chiropractor at the same time, but there was no communication between these two professionals, and at the end I was left with the pain and being twisted back and forth, which did not help my pain at all. I believe it is important for professionals to work together to bring the best treatment for patients. And if the professionals who worked with me had collaborated together, it would have saved money, time, and it would have saved me some sanity as well.
My husband Larry this past fall had heart valve surgery, which involves cracking the sternum, and it's major surgery. And he had to have this done because he had a couple congenital heart defects, and this was preventive surgery. In the lead up to the surgery, when we were talking to the surgeon and his team, we told them also about his fibromyalgia, a condition he's had for years, and how it tends to go out of control when he has other health issues. They took extensive notes and said it wouldn't be a problem. He had the surgery, came out of it fine, but within hours after his surgery, his pain levels were spiking through the roof because the team that was caring for him in the ICU did not pay attention to all of the notes that they had made before he had gone into the surgery. I knew before we even went into the hospital that I was going to have to be Larry's advocate, and I was prepared to do that. Unfortunately, my expectations came totally true when they completely ignored everything that we had told them before the surgery and everything that I was telling them after the surgery. So I had to step forward and really be pushed back a lot at various points to get them to pay attention and for them to create a system by which they would deal with his fibromyalgia while they dealt with his recovery from heart surgery. And basically I had to step them through the process. And unfortunately, they let his pain level spike to a point that when they asked me what we normally did, I didn't even have the answers because we never let his pain get that bad before we take action. Interprofessional practices is so important because the body is not a series of standalone systems. It's an integrated system that works together. And when you have one problem, for example, heart issues, all of the other parts of your body are involved as well. And in this case, we saw that with Larry's fibromyalgia.
So I have dysautonomia, which is an umbrella term. So specifically, I have neurally mediated hypotension, which means my blood pressure drops, and postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which means when I stand up, my heart rate goes up. But it's a syndrome, so it affects all parts of your body. So it took me, I probably was born with this, but it took over 40 years to get diagnosed. But once I got diagnosed, treatment became another issue. I have a specific situation where I have a tooth that needed to be worked on. It just needed to have a crown put on. But because I couldn't find a dentist to work on it, it took about 4 years to find a dentist who would work on it. The tooth finally broke, and now the tooth needed to be pulled. So the dentist and my dysautonomia doctor needed to speak to each other because there were certain procedures that needed to be followed. And it took a lot of work on both their part and my part to try to get them to speak to each other. They finally did. The dentist did not follow the exact instructions. So I'm back to square one and going to another dentist, trying to do the exact same thing so that I can get this tooth pulled. The value of interprofessional practice is that obviously the doctors would be communicating with each other. So hopefully that would relieve some of the emotional, physical, and financial burdens that have been brought to me and to other dysautonomia patients. Most at this point, a lot of the communication is done online between patients. It's not done between doctor to doctor or doctor to other kind of medical professional.
My son's diagnosis, it was quite a journey. We realized at age 2 he was really only making one sound. We contacted our local infants and toddlers program and had an evaluation, had a hearing test. Everything was normal, and we started seeing the SLP from the infants and toddlers program once a week. He really wasn't making any progress after a few months, and she suggested that we see some additional specialists. We went to Kennedy Krieger, saw a pediatric neurologist. Everything was normal. Had an MRI at Hopkins. Everything was normal. They suggested that we increase the sessions with an SLP. We added 2 sessions with a private practice SLP. And really, he made some more progress, but the progress still wasn't there. So she suggested that we get some second opinions. And the second opinions, we went through that. Still, everything was normal. And eventually, I realized that my son's still not talking, and something must be wrong. But I'm going to all of these people, and they're telling me everything's normal. And I looked at it and thought, why aren't these people talking? In my experience, I felt there was a lack of communication with all of the different people that we were talking to. I felt like I was the advocate. I felt like it was almost like a Venn diagram, and I was trying to figure out from all of these people what was overlapping, what wasn't overlapping, what was supposed to overlap, what wasn't supposed to overlap, and really trying to figure it all out, figure out who I should be talking to and who should be talking. Eventually, what I did was get a summary from all of the different specialists, and that really helped with putting everything together in one document and sharing it with all the different people that we were talking to. What they found is that in each report there were these small insignificant details, but when you put them all together, it actually ended up being something that was significant that really helped my son's diagnosis. In order for my son to move forward and really make progress, eventually all of these people did somewhat work together. I didn't get them in a room. That would have been great, but it didn't happen. However, putting the summary together really helped, and then having the SLPs talk to one another on the phone was excellent in really moving forward and figuring out what he needed. It was a much more holistic approach to what we were trying to accomplish. My son is doing much better now. He's talking. He is still not a normal 3-year-old. However, he has made a ton of progress, and I feel like it was a result of finally getting all of these people together and talking.
Yan, okay. So from the video, ano yung mga napansin nyo na common sa mga experiences ng apat na babae na starring dun sa video na yon? Sige, magtatawag ako. Let's start with, ayan. Pag nagtatawag ako na maraming naglilive, ganyan din na na-observe ko sa ibang year levels. Anyway, sige, huwag kayong matakot. Okay lang yan. Kailangan talaga mag-practice tayong mag-recite. I'll start with Rylina Balisong. Sige, ano yung mga common na na-observe mo dun sa experiences dun sa video?
Doc, yung part po na sa end, towards the end, no, nagsasabi sila na experience nila, sinasabi nila na it could have saved them a lot more money and time if may collaboration po yung professionals na nag-handle sa case nila. Yun po.
Okay, so common na insight sa kanila yun, ano? Kapag nagkaroon ng collaboration yung team na nag-handle dun sa patient na dinidescribe nila, it would have been sana a better experience, more efficient care. Okay, very good. O, isa pa. Let's ask naman si Nathaniel Tulabot. Ano pa yung common dun sa experiences ng mga nagkwento sa video?
Na hindi po nagtutulungan yung mga doctor at yung mga times po na tinatry po silang i-connect ng patient with each other, parang hindi pa rin po nakakatulong. Just like po yung sa dentist po tsaka sa doctor na nag-recommend po yung doctor na ganito po yung procedure, hindi po sinunod ng dentist. So back to square one po ulit yung patient.
Okay, so definitely merong naging gap, no? Pagdating dun sa actual application ng mga information na na-share ng mga health professionals who are involved in the care. So, kumbaga may endorsement na nangyari pero hindi na carry out yung endorsement. Okay, good. Isa pa, how about you, Leslie? Ano naman yung na-observe mo dun sa experiences nila?
Na kailangan pa niya magpalipat-lipat ng mga doktor bago sila nagkaroon ng resolution. Parang yun. Parang sila pa yung nag-initiate na makompile yung mga information na kuha niya from different doctors before nagkaroon ng resolution. Parang yung patient pa yung nag-initiate.
Okay, no, unfortunately, ang kailangan na mag-ayos o mag-coordinate, no, mag-initiate ng efforts to integrate the services or integrate the team, yun either caregiver or yung patient. Diba? So parang nanggaling pa dun sa supposedly recipient of care yung ganong klase ng initiative. Okay. So mapapansin natin these experiences, no, actually hindi yan konti. Madaming experiences yan. And yung video kasi natin galing sa ibang bansa, no? So we can just imagine yung mga experiences din dito sa Pilipinas, no, when it comes to managing chronic and complex diseases. No? So, mapapansin nyo din, dun sa mga stories ng mga na-share dun sa video, many of the patients had long-standing chronic conditions, no? Complex conditions, complicated cases. So, usually, yung problems of integration and collaboration, you can see from this or you can experience, you can anticipate, no, from these kinds of patients. Sige, so I'll go back to my slides. Wait, meron pang nagpapa-add. Okay, so what actually they're experiencing, is what we call as some of the shortcomings of our health system. Okay, and among these shortcomings, ang isa sa mga pinaka-importante when we talk about integration and coordination of care is the issue of fragmentation. No? So sabi nga, our health system unfortunately is fragmented, costly, and in the end, hindi pa rin siya nagiging effective, no, to address the health needs of our populations. So let's focus more on the issue of fragmentation during our session this afternoon. So fragmentation is the coexistence of infrastructure and capacities of several subsystems within the same territory without coordination and integration. So mapapansin nyo from the definition and also from the picture that represents itong fragmentation, you have different elements or different parts of a system. However, if these different parts will have no coordination or the services will not be integrated, it will still result to fragmentation. So hiwa-hiwalay, putol-putol yung serbisyo na natatanggap ng mga tao. Okay? So what are the manifestations of this fragmentation? Many of those listed here, hindi siya na-cover sa video, pero the concepts listed down here, you can find in the Pan-American Health Organization document about integration of health services. So I will put that also in as part of our references. Kaso medyo mahaba kasi yung document, so I will most likely require you to read some parts lang. But if you will be interested, no problem if you would like to read the whole thing. Anyway, so fragmentation is manifested, in short, no, signs and symptoms ng fragmentation. When you see these things happening in your system, in your health system or sa patient's experiences, clue na ito na merong fragmentation sa setting kung saan ka nag-work. Una, when there's lack of coordination. So ano ba ibig sabihin ng coordination? Coordination is nagkakaroon ng linaw kung ano yung mga logistics na sinishare, di ba? Pag sinabi mo nga sa mga coordinator ng mga events, di ba? Ano yung mga roles niya? Kailangan alam ng lahat ng mga members of the group kung kailan yung event, di ba? Saan yung venue? Sino yung celebrant, 'di ba? Ganyan yung mga events coordinator. So ganun din ang ine-expect natin pagdating sa health system, no? O sa healthcare. Dapat malinaw kung if you have this specific needs or services that you require, alam din ng mga members or elements in the system where to refer you, no? How to contact that facility. When are those services available? How can they avail these services, or what would be the process required for them to avail of these services? So lahat yan ay mangyayari if there's coordination, no, within the system. Another manifestation of fragmentation is when you have duplication of services and infrastructure. So definitely, kapag hindi magkakakilala, hindi nag-uusap-usap yung miyembro ng isang system, no, pwede talaga na magpaulit-ulit yung mga offering nila na services. So, dahil hindi nga sila magkakilala, kala nung isa walang ganitong services na pinaprovide and therefore i-offer niya rin to. Pero kung alam nila ang offering ng isa't isa, may iwasan sana tong duplication na ito. Third, unfortunately, even if you have duplication of services, there is still unutilized productive capacity. Ano ibig sabihin nun? The expertise, no, the contributions of the members are not maximized. At bakit nangyayari yon? Kasi nga walang malalim na pag-intindi sa expertise na pwede i-contribute ng isang miyembro, no? So, meron kang mga overlaps, duplication of services, but you also have gaps, no, in terms of the services that you need. So that's another manifestation of fragmentation. The fourth is when the provision of health services is at the least appropriate location. So no example nito. So if you have tertiary services, specialized services that are provided or that are not available in a tertiary facility, no? O yung kabaliktaran naman, if you have primary care services, no, the basic services na not available in the community or in the primary care setting. So, hindi na naman appropriate yun. So, kailangan nagmamatch. If you need basic services, then these basic services must also be present in the most basic facility, which is in the community setting. And ang isa pa na manifestation, which I think is the most popular na pwede nating ma-experience as healthcare provider, yung loss of continuity of care. No? Anong ibig sabihin nun? When people are lost when they access the services. So madami tayong pwedeng ma-encounter sa ospital na hindi sila nakapag-follow up after 3 months or after 6 months, or even if nag-worsen yung condition nila, hindi sila nakapag-follow up. Bakit? Ang kasama sa mga dahilan yan ay it's either hindi nila alam, no, kung paano na yung gagawin pag nag-follow up. Ano pa? During follow up, let's say biglang hindi sila maka-access ng kanilang healthcare provider, and therefore hindi na nila alam kung kanino pupunta, no, kasi wala silang permanent healthcare provider. Pwede rin na during referral, walang specific na healthcare provider or facility na na-identify na magpapatuloy ng kanyang care. So madaming pwedeng maging dahilan yung loss of continuity of care. But definitely, if you get patients na they're not able to continue their treatment or management because of these different reasons, that's a point that can tell you that fragmentation exists in that particular setting. And obviously, because of all these problems related to fragmentation, we could expect that there will be negative outcomes. No? So for example, doon sa video na pinanood natin, ano ba yung naging result nung ano yung naging result ng absence of collaboration in the cases that we have seen? Let's see, Emmanuel King. Anong naging resulta nung kawalan ng collaboration among the healthcare providers? Naku, nawala siya. Sakto, pagtawag ko sa kanya. Bakit ganun? O sige, tawag tayo iba. Si Angelo Huliganga.
Doc, more pain and suffering dun sa patients po.
Yan, very good. No? So, hindi na-address yung condition na ikininsulta. In fact, mas matindi pa, 'di ba? Yung sa second case, more pain, yung umabot sa severe pain na first time niyang na-experience. Okay? O, ano pa? Let's have Elaine Kate.
Parang may financial burden po dun sa patient.
Okay, financial burden. So, syempre, sabi nga dun sa unang case, it could have saved them a lot of money kung nag-usap-usap man lang yung mga healthcare workers o yung mga health providers, no? Sige, another one, si Carl Darwin. Ano pa yung mga naging experiences or outcomes dun sa video na pinakita?
Matagal po yung diagnosis po.
Yan. So, matagal yung diagnosis dun sa fourth case, no? So, kahit ang dami na nilang kinonsulta, sa dulo, wala pa ring assessment, no? And of course, dun sa third case, ang tagal din na second case, ang tagal din bago siya ma-manage. Kasi yung, hindi siya makahanap ng dentist that can actually perform the procedure. Plus, nag-worsen din yung condition niya. So, just like what stated here, no, in the slide, ang daming negative outcomes, difficulties in accessing services, there's poor technical quality of services, irrational or inefficient use of resources, there's unnecessary increase in cost, and of course, yung lower user satisfaction. So siguro wala namang magiging masaya, no? Kapag ganyan, litong-lito at ligaw na ligaw ka sa management na ginagawa ng health team who's handling your case. Okay? So what are the common causes of fragmentation? So one is the institutional segmentation of our health system. So of course, ang health sector ay napakalaking grupo yan. And you can expect that there will be several offices, several units that would make up your health sector. Pero hindi naman yun dapat maging enough na dahilan para hayaan na lang na magkagulo-gulo dulo, 'di ba? No? Pero definitely if you have several offices within one sector, several units, then it becomes a challenge for integration. Another reason daw that can contribute to fragmentation is the decentralization of health services. And we have this in the country, no? So we have what we call as the Local Government Code of 1991, which is devolution, wherein our health system is devolved or the health services are devolved sa local level. Meaning to say, you have the central office of the Department of Health, but basically they are assigned to work on the national programs. So, kasama dyan yung expanded program on immunization, yung ating mga maternal and child care program, nandyan din yung TB program. So these are some of the examples of the national program. So that's being handled by your national or the central office of the DOH. And also some of our regional hospitals and our specialty hospitals. But when you go to the level of the province or the level of the district hospitals, yan ay handled na by your local government units, either by the province or by the municipality. And if we go further, yung ating mga rural health unit at yung ating mga barangay health stations, those are managed naman by your municipalities, no, municipal governments, or the barangay local government unit. No? So the pag sinabi kasing management, it includes the planning, it includes the management of the whole thing, no, yung services, including financing. Okay? So ang nag-finance sa mga services na meron tayo sa barangay health station would actually be the barangay na kinukuha lang din yung kanilang pondo mula sa munisipyo. Okay? May ambag pa rin ang national government when it comes to the national programs. But for the rest of the programs and services na hindi covered sa national level, ang mag-handle niyan o ang mag-finance at ang mag-finance niyan would be your municipal and your barangay local government units. Okay? So definitely, we can expect na limited ang resources. You can also expect problems related to communication between the national offices, the central office, and then going to the municipal, provincial health office. So maraming mga complications brought about by devolution of our health services. And definitely, it adds up to the fragmentation of our health system. Another reason or another contribution to fragmentation would be the predominance of programs targeting specific diseases or what we call as vertical programs. No? So these vertical programs focus only on specific diseases. For example, ang paborito ng aking funding agency ay, let's say, conditions like, ano ba yung isang popular? Let's say Hansen's disease lang. No? So yun lang. So yun lang yung programa, yun lang yung popondohan. Other than that, kung may ibang condition yung pasyente, hindi na yan kasali, diba? So masyadong focused at dahil masyado siyang focused at doon lang nakatutok yung pondo, yung resources, imposible na maging holistic yung management or holistic yung care or holistic yung services na provided for the patient. Kasi yung sakit lang yung tinitignan at hindi yung kabuuan ng isang pasyente. Okay? So related itong vertical programs with the financing practices of agencies and donors because in low resource countries like the Philippines, diba? So we are reliant on the funding agencies. No, minsan international donors. So pag ganyan, syempre kung ano yung favorite ng donor, yun lang yung mangyayari. Paano kung yung mga needs ng iyong country is different from the priorities of your funding agencies? So problematic na yun. And another reason for fragmentation is when you have an acute care or hospital-based treatment. So we call this yung hospital-centric. And we know na sa hospitals, acute care ang ibibigay dyan. No? Pupunta ka lang naman sa hospital kung meron kang acute problem. Hindi ka naman pupunta dyan if you have a long-standing or a complex problem na hindi naman kailangan ng immediate attention. So because of that, ang nagiging tendency rin is just to focus on the acute problem and not on the holistic management of the patient. And this is also related to this one, yung allocation of resources. When you have a hospital-centric system, then all of the resources, most of the resources, if not all, are channeled to the hospitals. So napapabayaan yung mga mas comprehensive na programs like your health promotion and disease prevention services. And all of these things, definitely can be affected by the capacity of your health authority. So the leadership and governance is very important. And when you have a weak leader, hindi niya yan ma-address. At pwede rin kasi na hindi niya ma-address because it's not something that is prioritized by your leadership and governance group. Okay? So, these are just some of the reasons, pero definitely marami pang iba. Ito lang yung nakita nila na most common, na based sa experience ng mga Latin American countries. So going back dun sa mga shortcomings, really, yung fragmentation of our health system is definitely something that we need to work on. Kailangan siyang i-address. Otherwise, magkukontinue lang yung mga negative outcomes related to it. So, good enough, na in 2010, the WHO actually recognized that interprofessional collaboration is important. And this collaboration is not only important in the practice of healthcare, but also in educating our health workers, our future health workers. So how did they explain or define collaborative practice? They defined it as occasions when multiple health workers from different backgrounds provide comprehensive services by working together with patients, families, carers, and communities to deliver the highest quality of care across settings. So ganyan ang gusto natin makita. The different health workers, even if they're coming from different backgrounds, meaning to say doctors, working with dentists, working with nutritionists, with social workers, So because they come from different backgrounds, they are able to complete the services for the patient. They're able to address the whole spectrum of the health needs of the patient. But of course, it should not only be the responsibility of the health team, but the health team must also engage the patient, the family, the carer, or community, kung community setting siya nag-work, so that they can together deliver the highest quality of care. So yan yung sinasabi nila na collaborative practice. Okay. And in the document by the WHO, they were able to identify the outcomes or the results, yung mga documented results ng interprofessional collaboration. So, in contrast to the results of fragmentation, we can see na very positive yung nagiging result if there is interprofessional collaboration. Ano yun? There's optimal use of health human resources, or efficiency of our health system. There's better access to and coordination of the health services. There's reduced cost of healthcare, improved treatment outcomes, including patient safety. There's holistic patient care, and overall improved health. So from the good outcomes sa patient individual level hanggang dun sa positive outcomes for our health system, more efficient, mas responsive, mas cost-effective. So hanggang health system improvements, nagiging result din yan ng interprofessional collaboration. Although sinasabi na maganda yung concept of collaborative practice, definitely when you start practicing outside, ang dami talagang challenges. Okay? Hindi hindi pa talaga perfect kung ano man yung nangyayari. Even if there's a lot of support already being given to the concept of collaboration. Kasi when you practice, definitely it will be part of your experience, yung mga turfing, no? Ano yung turfing? Diyan ka lang, okay? Ito lang yung sakop ng specialization mo. Hindi ka pwedeng lumampas dyan. No? So kung ulo, ENT. Okay, kapag baga, pulmo. So ganon, turfing, kanya-kanyang pwesto. Okay? Hindi naman ganon nag-work ang katawan ng tao. 'Di ba? Parang yung sinabi ng isa dun sa video kanina, integrated ang ating body. Na pag may problema yung isa, definitely the other parts can also be affected. Okay? Another reality that you can experience is the hierarchical relationship. So ano yung ibig sabihin nito? Just because we are doctors, we are regarded highly in the system. Okay? So tayo lagi may final say. Even if in reality, we do not know everything. Okay? So ako at this point, I want you to realize that. Na not because you are a doctor, no, we are doctors, ay know it all tayo. Tanggalin nyo yan sa sistema nyo. Okay? Definitely, kasi makakahanap kayo ng health worker that will fit better doon sa needs ng inyong pasyente. Okay? You cannot address everything. nagiging ano lang siguro na ang taas ng tingin sa mga doktor, probably kasi mas matagal tayo nag-aral, mas matagal tayo nag-train, mas malaki yung sweldo natin. Yun pa nga yung kailangan nating bakit mas malaki yung sweldo na nakukuha natin? Hindi naman din lahat kaya nating i-provide na care sa patients. No? Kaya nga, ginagawa natin, nag-specialize pa tayo kasi we really cannot address everything. Kaya nga tayo nagre-refer kasi definitely we cannot address everything na kailangan ng isang pasyente. So even if we know parts of the management, for example, giving nutritional advice, doing health education or counseling, explaining possible side effects of a medicine, definitely other health workers in that particular field that you would like to focus on, mas kaya nilang gawin yon, no? For example, yung drug-to-drug interaction. Of course, we know na may mga gamot na magkakaroon ng interaction and possibly can cause harm, no, or threat sa isang pasyente. Simply because hindi natin malalaman lahat yan pagdating sa mga gamot. So you have your pharmacist who is more expert and more adept and mas kaya niyang thoroughly tignan yung aspect na yan more than us. Okay? Nutrition. Definitely a nutritionist, dietitian can perform better yung nutritional assessment, nutritional management of a patient. Alam lang natin yung mababaw. No? There's limit pagdating dun sa mga bagay na pwede nating sabihin, pwede nating i-advise sa patient. Okay. Patient care, no? Yung sinasabi natin na pag-aalaga sa pasyente, 'di ba? Yung mental, psychological, spiritual. Of course, definitely we believe na importante yung holistic care. Pero hindi natin kayang ibigay lahat ng pag-aalaga simply because there are other things that we need to attend to, and therefore the nurses will be the better ones to provide that more holistic care. So pwede nating sabihin na tayong mga doktor, meron tayong mga alam na bits and pieces in terms of the management, pero definitely we cannot provide all the care that is needed for the patient. Having said that, sa tingin nyo, saan pinakamagaling ang doktor? Saan tayo dapat nagko-contribute? Tanungin natin si Patrick June Paul. So sa tingin mo, ano ang pinaka-contribution ng isang doktor sa patient management, sa patient care? Patrick June? Pag hindi nyo ito nasagot, naku bakit kayo nagdo-doktor? Kailangan malinaw din to sa inyo kasi ito yung future role nyo. Patrick, are you there? Naku, wala si Patrick. Absent yata. Sige, tawag tayo ng iba. Si Kyle. Kyle Benz.
Diagnosis po ng patient.
Diagnosis ng patient. Okay? Para naman kay Elaine. Elaine Kate, ano sa tingin mo? Saan pinaka dapat nakako-contribute ang isang doktor?
Ma-reduce po yung symptoms na nararamdaman ng patient.
Ma-reduce ang symptoms. Sa paanong paraan? Paano natin ma-reduce? Paano nare-reduce ng isang doktor ang symptoms ng isang pasyente? Elaine? Paano ba nagre-reduce ng symptoms ang isang doktor? Elaine? Nawala na si Elaine. O, sige, tawag tayo ng iba pa. Si Janine. Janine Joy. Ano tingin mo saan pinakamagaling ang doktor? Janine Joy Sungahit. Ako, nawawala kayo.
Doc, same po sa answer ni Elena. Yeah, Doc.
Para ano? Choppy ka, Iha. O, ano
ba ako, Doc?
Sige, ayan. Ngayon, dinig na kita. So, saan pinakamagaling ang doktor?
Ayun po. To reduce the symptoms and signs po ng patient. Pero in terms of proper communication po, for me.
Proper communication? Magagamot ba sa communication yung pasyente?
kasi for me kasi po, Doc, kapag proper po yung pakikipag-communicate ng physician, para madali na lang po ma-diagnose yung patient. Kumbaga, kung hindi na po paikot-ikot yung mga yung mga questions, or para mabilis na lang po ma-answer po.
Okay, so ano pa rin? Assessment pa rin, tapos managing through education. Yun ba yung gusto mong sabihin?
Yes po, Doc.
Sige. Tawag pa tayo iba. Ikaw naman, Justin, ano sa tingin mo? Saan pinakamagaling ang mga doktor?
Sa pag-diagnose po, Doc.
Sa pag-diagnose din. Sige. Okay. Actually, I agree doon sa pag-diagnose. No? Mahalaga talaga. Kaya nga ang haba siguro ng pag titignan niyo yung curriculum natin, di ba, ang dami nating time spent pagdating sa physiology, pathophysiology, kasi doon magdidepende yung management, no, sa diagnosis. Kaya part of our studies yung anong differential diagnosis, bakit yan ang differential diagnosis mo, ano yung theory mo, paano siya nagkasakit, o bakit ganyan yung mga symptoms niya. So, I think dyan talaga tayo mahalaga na makakontribute. Kasi even the other health professionals will actually rely on the diagnosis of the patient for their management. Now, in terms of management, of course, meron din tayong TOCA at tayo yung nagbibigay ng mga pharmacology management. So, yung pagre-reseta, kasi wala namang ibang health worker ang pwedeng magreseta ng gamot, especially yung mga yung mga prescription medicines. 'Di ba? Antibiotics. Wala namang ibang pwedeng magreseta ng antibiotics liban sa doktor, no? Kung meron man na magre-reseta, kailangan meron pa rin go signal from an MD yung mga kakailanganin ng prescription medicines. No? So, mukhang dyan talaga tayo inaasahan. At therefore, dyan tayo dapat maging magaling. No? Of course, tama rin yung sinabi kanina nung isang classmate ninyo about the importance of educating the patient, no? Making sure na you're able to advise the patient properly in terms of the management plan that you have or that you have created for the patient. So that's also part of being a doctor. Okay. So ano yung point ko dito? No? Kailangan maging malinaw kung ano yung share ng bawat isa, ano yung contribution ng bawat isa if you are part of the team. Okay? Sige, ano pa yung mga realities? We have poor communication and coordination. So probably hindi ganun ka-available, no, yung mechanisms for communication and coordination. We have a vague referral network. So sometimes when you have a patient na kailangan niya ng higher level of care, hindi naman natin alam kung kanino natin i-refer. Or if we have seen the patient in a tertiary hospital and then we would like to refer back the patient to a primary care facility, no, or to the community, hindi rin natin alam kung kanino i-refer. So, malabo yung referral network natin. We also have stereotypes. No? Stereotypes na related sa role. For example, ang nurse, assistant ng doktor. Diba? Hindi naman yung tama. At hindi rin yung totoo lagi. Kasi ang nurse ay, siya ay may particular role pagdating sa team. And the nurse can also lead a healthcare team. Ano pa, ang isang pharmacist ay tagatinda sa Mercury Drug. 'Di ba? Hindi tagatinda ang pharmacist, no? Ang usually na makikita niyo sa mga butika, sila ay mga pharmacy assistants. Pero ang pharmacist, bukod sa dispensing ng medicines, sila din ay involved sa development of drugs, development of medicines, no, research related to that. And even yung patient counseling or yung medication counseling na sinasabi natin. Ano pa? Yung mga therapy, sabi nila mga masahista, ang mga physical therapists, di ba? Pero hindi, pag titignan nyo ang roster ng mga modalities na pwedeng gawin ng isang physical therapist, napakarami niyan, no? Hindi lang yung massage, actually hindi nga masyado massage, mas exercise sila, no? Mas active movement yung sa kanila. Okay. So, ingat tayo dapat sa mga stereotypes na yan. And of course, meron din tayong mga unprepared team players. O anong ibig sabihin ng unprepared team players? We are all actually expected to become team players when we practice. No? Wala naman nagpa-practice sa healthcare ng mag-isa. Okay? So definitely, at one point in your career, magkakaroon ka ng pagkakataon na kailangan mong makipagtulungan sa ibang healthcare workers. Unfortunately, hindi tayo prepared to be part of a team. Madaming kulang sa ating preparation as doctors, sa ating medical curriculum for us to really be prepared as team players. And lastly, there's poor health governance and leadership. So even if we recognize that there's a problem related to fragmentation or related to poor collaboration, hindi pa rin masyado yan na-address over the years. And definitely, yung ating governance and leadership, that will play a big role in addressing this problem. So, in short, sa totoong buhay, even if we know the importance of collaborative practice, hindi talaga yan nakikita, na-experience fully when you go to your practice settings. Okay. Sige. Pero, meron tayong mga experience na pwede nating paghugutan. Okay? And we will now do next yung exercise na ito for the next 20 minutes. O sige, may time naman tayo. So we will do a breakout room session. So paano ang mangyayari nito? I will assign you to, ilan ba kayo? 26, 20. So I will make 5, 4. 4. Pwede na ba yun? Sige, I will make 5 breakout rooms. Yun. So, parang 5 breakout rooms. Random na lang yon. So, hindi ko na anuhin kung paano iayos ni Zoom. So, once you are in your breakout room, you assign 1 facilitator, 1 recorder reporter, and 1 timer. Okay? So, kailangan meron kayong group guides. Otherwise, hindi kayo matatapos in 20 minutes. The facilitator will run the discussion, making sure that at the end of 20 minutes, there will be no extension, and therefore your group has to have a prepared report already. Okay? The recorder reporter will take down notes of the discussion, and you will report later when we go back to the plenary ano yung napag-usapan ninyo based dun sa questions na ibibigay ko. Okay? And then the timer will keep track of the time, making sure that you are finished done and ready to present after 20 minutes. Okay? So group guides muna. After magkaroon kayo ng group guides, you start the discussion. So I will post the questions. And then after 20 minutes, I will call you back again sa plenary, and then I will call the groups to present. Okay? So just prepare a short presentation. Baka nga pwede na 2 or 3 minutes per group lang. So one slide, I think, will be enough to answer the questions. No? Madadali lang yung questions natin. Okay. So what I want you to do in the breakout room is each one of you will have to describe your most memorable and or positive team experience. So each one, mag-share kayo ng inyong memorable positive team experience. This can be outside school, okay? Or outside med school. Pwedeng extracurricular, okay? And then you will share with the group why you consider that experience positive, and then what were the factors that helped to make the experience positive, and then how can you apply the lessons from that experience to form an effective healthcare team. So, mag-share muna kayo ng positive team experience. Why was that positive? What factors led or contributed to make it positive? And then how can you apply what you have learned from that experience to become an effective healthcare team? Okay? So what the group will report after 20 minutes ay yung compilation lang ng answers nito. So pag sama-samahin nyo lang yung answer nyo, and then yun lang yung ipepresent nyo. Okay? Kaya sabi ko, pwedeng isang slide na lang dyan. You can put a table na hindi nyo na kailangan isa-isahin sino yung nag-report, ano yung kwento niya, hindi ganun. You can just present a summary. Okay? So, klaro ba yung instruction na yon pagdating sa ating breakout room session? Thumbs up nga kung klaro. Pag hindi, you can unmute and raise your questions. Oh, may thumbs up naman ako nakikita. Sige. Okay, so I will now create the breakout rooms. So you will have 20 minutes. So okay? So pag may prompt na sa inyo to join the room, just join para we can also have enough time for the reporting. And then after nung reporting, I need to present short slides na lang, konting slides na lang, and then we can close the session. Okay? So I will now open the rooms. By the way, kapag nakita nyo ako umikot sa room, just continue on with your discussion. And also pala, nakalimutan ko, when you are in the breakout room, please turn on your videos and talk to each other. Ayoko ng Google Docs lang, tas tahimik lahat, tas nagta-type lang sa Google Docs. So ayoko makakita ng group na ganon. Okay? Kasi we are doing this breakout room session for interaction. So I hope you will take advantage of the opportunity to really interact. Okay? Ang paggawa ng Google Doc or Google Slide ay hindi interaction. No? So napaka-limited niyan. Okay? So I will now open the rooms, and when I go around, I expect you to holding your conversations. Okay? Sige, you may now join your rooms.
Doc, nakamute po kayo.
Sorry. Okay, so let's proceed with the presentations for each group. So start tayo sa gitna. No, so let's start with group number 3. Teka lang, group number 3 to present. You can share your slides. Ang room number 3 natin ay sina Easy. Tama ba? Easy ba to? Bernadette, Maria Victoria, Carl, and Justin. Okay, game. Group number 3. Okay, sinong reporter sa group number 3? Ready na ba yung group number 3 or lipat muna tayo sa ibang group? If you're not...
Ready na po.
Sige.
So, most memorable and positive team experience. So, next slide. So, for us, we opted to have this as our positive experience, yung preparing for SGD po. So, before the day of the SGD mismo, nag-meet muna yung lahat ng groupmates and iniisa-isa yung mga question sa SGD kahit hindi siya yung assigned doon sa part na yun, so that kahit magtawag yung prof randomly, everyone could answer. And because of that, nagkakaroon ng mataas na grade for the SGD po. So next slide. Why do you consider that experience positive? We got a high grade because we work together. Next. What were the factors that helped them to make the experience positive? So because there's a collaboration and everyone are proactive, and there's always someone who initiates to do the meeting before the proper day of the SGD itself. So may nag-act as leader sa group. How can you apply the lessons from that experiences to form an effective healthcare team? So through our collaboration, the approach will be more holistic and comprehensive than working alone. So yun lang po, Doc. Thank you po.
Thank you, group number 3. Palakpakan natin sila. So, ipon pa tayo ng more reports. So, let's go to group number 2. So, ang group number 2 ay sina Sheena Joy, Janine, Sheda, and Elaine. Sige, let's listen to group number 2. Sige, nag-prepare pa ang group number 2. So after ni group number 2, mag-prepare na rin ang group number 1, ha? Para dire-diretso na tayo. Okay na ba, group number 2? O, punta muna nga tayo kay group number 1. Let's have group number 1 first. So, ang group number 1 ay sige, go. Si Raylina.
Yes po.
Can share.
Our group po, hindi po kami nakaprepare ng slide, pero we compiled our experiences into 3 themes po. Firstly is doing everything a person can, whenever something bad happens to one person or something bad happens to the plan that was laid out. Second is being part of a team, dapat alam mo paano mag-delegate. Kasi as a leader, hindi lang dapat ikaw yung gumagawa ng lahat ng bagay. Kasi all your members have their own strengths and weaknesses. And yun dapat yung i-empower mo sa kanila. And lastly is to know when to anticipate problems when you have your plan. So we yung mga experiences po kasi namin is mixed from orgs to school activities and research activities po. So basically, ang nangyari po sa kanila is hindi po nakapag-know yung iba sa mga ina-ask sa kanila. Yung isa po is nabigyan ng parang deadline for a big project, and then yung isa was part of a Girl Scout, and then the other one was part of the student council. So it's really mixed experience. So how can we apply these lessons ba to form an effective healthcare team? Firstly, yung sinabi ko po na yung delegation sa tasks sa team mo. Kasi as a leader, hindi mo naman talaga ma-shoulder lahat ng bagay na gagawin ninyo for a patient or for your patients, di ba? So you need other people in the healthcare team, not only your residents, not only your interns, but also your nurses, your rad techs, and everyone else who can help you in providing patient care, di ba? Next is know when to troubleshoot, kasi hindi naman all the time is smooth flow lang yung mangyayari sa management plan na na-devise ninyo as a team. So dapat alam ninyo kung anong gagawin ninyo kapag nangyari ito, or ano yung gagawin ninyo kapag nangyari ito sa patient ninyo. With the goal na dapat gagaling si patient. Yun yung goal kasi ng healthcare team. And lastly is you need to really sacrifice your time and your effort as a team. Hindi lang dapat ikaw sa sarili mo yung parang magsasacrifice for the patient, and or kung ano man yung mangyayari for the patients that you're handling. Hindi lang dapat ikaw yung nagsasacrifice, but all those who are working for the patient. And lastly then po is better, dapat how to communicate well with your healthcare team, given na buhay yung hawak ninyo as pagka na place na tayo sa mga wards and all. So yun po to.
Okay, thank you sa group number 1. Marami tayong napulot doon na mga factors that will contribute to the better performance ng isang team. Sige, so dahil kulang na tayo sa oras, let's proceed muna to finish the presentations, yung slide presentation. Okay, so coming off from the different experiences that you related to each other, marami talagang iba't ibang klase ng team approaches, iba't ibang pamamaraan ng working as a group. No? So one of the most common type is what we call as multidisciplinary. In this type of team approach, the team members work in parallel. So there's little communication. Kadalasan yan sa chart lang nag-uusap yung mga members. At nakasentro sa leader lahat ng communication. And usually in these teams, the leader is the doctor. So, sounds familiar. Yan ang kadalasan na sistema sa mga ospital. Okay? However, what we would like to develop, what we are stressing this in our discussion is the formation of an interprofessional group or interprofessional collaboration wherein the team members work together. Communication is frequent not only through chat but also frequent through meetings. No? May mga face-to-face meetings sila. And the leadership can change depending on the issue being presented by your patient or the community that you are addressing or engaging. So kung ang kailangan ng pasyente ay ang kanyang dietary or nutritional management, then the nutritionist takes the lead. Diba? Kung kailangan ng pasyente ay yung kanyang therapy, rehabilitation services, then your rehabilitation group or expert will take the lead. So, hindi kailangan na laging doktor ang nangunguna sa team. For us to better understand the factors related to collaboration, it's important for us to know paano ba ang definition nito. Okay? So, collaboration is a type of relations or interaction occurring among co-workers. The good thing about collaboration is that it is a dynamic process, meaning to say it can change. Kung nagsimula yung isang team na hindi masyadong maganda yung kanilang teamwork, pwede nilang pagandahin yon eventually. And there are 4 key elements that are important when you develop or you want to develop collaboration. These are sharing, partnership, power, and interdependency. So, ito yung mga factors na natututunan natin through experience, and I think you have shared some of your experiences na related dito sa mga factors na ito. So, I heard kanina yung sharing of responsibilities. So, hindi pwedeng o hindi kailangan na leader lang ang ako ng lahat ng responsibilidad. But actually, ang work ng isang group ay kailangan pinaghahati-hatian. You share. So, dapat yung mga members ng team, willing sila to participate in doing the task, and also yung mga team members din, willing sila na i-share yung trabaho sa iba. Diba? Kasi meron talaga mga personalities na gusto mo ikaw lahat gagawa kasi feeling mo ikaw lang yung makakagawa ng maayos. No? So, kanina sinabi yung trust. Importante yun within the group. It's also important that you share care, philosophy, values, and perspectives para alam natin yung hugot ng isa't isa. No? So, being able to know and share about the planning and interventions of, let's say, a nurse. No? So, pag ikaw ay doktor, naintindihan mo ang planning and interventions ng isang nurse, it will also be easier for you to trust and respect yung mga things na ginagawa ng isang nurse. Kasi alam mo na, yan pala ang pamamaraan nila. No? Na pwedeng iba sa pamamaraan natin mga doktor. Pero dahil alam natin na mahalaga yon para sa pag-aalaga ng pasyente, bibigyan natin sila ngayon ng space para magawa nila yung mga kailangan nilang iambag sa pag-aalaga sa pasyente. So that is sharing. The second key element is partnership. And partnership is about the interpersonal relationship between the team members. So having a collegial, authentic, and productive relationship, open and honest communication, mutual trust and respect, and you should show that you value the work and perspective of the other team members. The third key element is about power, and this is about leadership. No, kanina yung second group, they emphasize yung role ng leader. Yung first group naman sinabi na kailangan talaga meron nag-i-initiate, no? Pero hindi porket ikaw ang leader, ibig sabihin nasa iyo lahat ng power decision making. You should know when to act as a leader and when to act as a follower or as a team member. Kailangan leadership is not only based on functions or titles, no? Not because you have an MD after your name, ang ibig sabihin nun ikaw na ang leader. Hindi. It should be based on knowledge and experience which is appropriate in handling the needs of the patient. And lastly, there should be interdependency, meaning to say the group has a common desire to fulfill the patient's needs. So sinabi ito noong second group kanina na importante that we are always aware and mindful na ang reason natin for coming together as a team is yung kapakanan ng pasyente. So kung ano ang makakabuti sa pasyente, yun dapat ang nagiging priority ng team. And every team member must really show na or mas value yung contribution ng bawat isa. Ibig sabihin, hindi magiging magandang outcome kung hindi sila magtutulungan. So dapat lahat ng members ng team ay may binibigay na valuing pagdating sa perspective na yun. So ibig sabihin, if you want to have collaboration in the group, these 4 key elements must be present. Okay? And kung ganon, mababalikan natin yung mga hugot lines natin kanina. So bakit nga ba mahirap mag-work o magkaroon ng collaboration sa healthcare setting? It's because of the different determinants of collaboration. Hindi lang yung interpersonal or interactional relationship ang mahalaga, but there are also organizational or conditions within the organization. For example, tayo, we are in FEU. So ano ba yung conditions within the FEU hospital or within the institute that affects our interaction with each other? And more importantly, there are also systemic determinants or the conditions naman outside FEU, much bigger than FEU, that affects our culture, our values, our educational system, our health system in general. So lahat yung mga bagay na yan ay pwedeng makaapekto sa kung magagawa ba yung collaboration or hindi. Pero please take note that among these determinants, very important pa rin is your interactional determinants. And that is where our willingness to collaborate will come in, our ability to trust our teammates, yung ating communication skills at yung ating respeto sa isa't isa. So pinaka-core pa rin yan, pinakamahalaga pa rin yan. But this just tells us na eventually we also need to work on yung mga organizational factors that can support collaborative practice, and eventually when we become leaders and managers, we should also be able to work and promote collaboration on the systemic level. So so the different determinants. And so I would like to end by clarifying na as medical students, as future physicians, we also need to develop our collaborative competencies. So our collaborative competencies will now depend on our development of these different domains. So, kailangan nating i-develop yung mga kakayahan natin such that we can have a full understanding and we can develop the necessary skills and attitudes that are needed for us to eventually participate effectively in an interprofessional team, in a healthcare team. So, isahin natin briefly yung domains. The first is role clarification. So, dito, we need to have a clear understanding about our own role in the health team and about the role of other members of the health team. Without that understanding, magkakaroon tayo ng mga stereotypes, magiging victims tayo ng hierarchies, that can definitely negatively affect our collaboration. Domain 2 is team functioning. This is about understanding different team dynamics, understanding what can positively affect our teamwork and what can cause negative outcomes pagdating sa collaboration. So we should also be able to reflect on our own practices, our own experiences, just like what you did in the breakout rooms. Domain 3 is about collaborative leadership. It's about how you can share decision making, how you can share yung power na sinasabi natin kanina, such that empowerment will be given to every member. Domain 4 is our capacity to deal with interprofessional conflict. So napakadaming pwedeng sources of conflict when you are part of the health team. But it is important na every member will have that capacity, that competency to handle properly these conflicts. Okay? Diyan pa tayo mahina, conflict management. Kadalasan nagiging biktima tayo niyan. Hindi tayo marunong mag-handle ng conflict. Hindi rin tayo marunong mag-prevent ng conflict. Kaya sa dulo, namang problema tayo. How do we resolve conflict? Domain 5 is about being patient, client, family, or community-centered. Just like diniscuss kanina na the reason for putting together the different members is basically the patient. So kailangan yun din mga pamamaraan at yung mga management ng team ay nakasalalay din sa kung anong kailangan ng pasyente. So that's part of our collaborative competency. And lastly, Domain 6 is about interprofessional communication. So how do you effectively communicate with different team members? Kasi pwedeng iba-iba, no? May jargon, may mga technical terms na pwedeng doktor lang ang familiar or therapist lang yung familiar or nurses lang yung familiar. So kailangan we can navigate through those differences in terms of the language that we use in our own professions. Okay? So those are the things that we need to develop for us to effectively work as members of the team in the future. So I'd like to end with this. And bakit importante that we discuss these things about collaboration? Because our challenges, the challenges that we face right now, hindi na lang nagre-require yan ng mga content experts. No? Yan nga. The ideal health professional would possess a balance of content expertise, not only the mastery of methodologies and tools in a given technical area, but also what we call as linkage expertise, which is the capacity to interact with practitioners of other technical areas in the wider domain of health and development. So hindi na lang sapat na magaling kang maging doktor, na maging magaling kang doktor, pero kailangan maging magaling kang doktor na kayang mag-involve o maging involved sa isang health team. Okay, yan na yung kinakailangan natin ngayon. Hindi na natin kailangan ng content experts only, but we also need linkage experts. Okay, so as a final word, I would like to remind everyone that in general, harmonization of a wide range of activities of different professional groups, even when genuinely moved by the same will to serve people's health needs, does not happen easily or naturally. All of these things must be organized. So pinaplano so that you will have an effective team, a collaborative health team. Okay, so that's my last slide. Thank you very much for participating in our session this afternoon. I hope medyo na-interest kayo sa usapin ng collaborative practice. Now, for the group work that you have participated on earlier, I will make a submission folder sa Moodle para you can submit the group output. So one submission only per group. Please make sure in your submission that you write down the names of the group members. No, kasi that will also serve as your attendance in our session today. So okay, so one submission only per breakout room. And then for your submission, please write down the names of the group members who are present. Tapos, any file will do. Kung yan ay PDF, okay lang yan. Kung yan ay Word document, okay lang yan. Kung yan ay PowerPoint, okay lang yan. So, yung prepare nyo for the presentation earlier, submit nyo lang yung file na yon. Okay na yon. No? So, for the group na hindi nakagawa ng slide or ng Google Docs or ng gawa lang kayo ng write-up showing your answers and then you submit in the submission form. Okay, so are there any questions before we close our session? May 2 minutes left pa tayo. Okay? So mukhang wala ng tanong. So kung wala na, please make sure lang na in preparation for my part in the exam, maglalagay kasi ako ng required reading. So the references will be, or the sources of the exam questions will be the required reading. Okay, that's one. And then yung ating discussion today, yung ating lecture discussion. So that's the second part of the exam or the source of exam. Okay? So I hope na you're able to learn something from our discussion this afternoon. Okay, so kung wala na questions, thank you very much. See you again sa susunod na mga sessions. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Doc.